Hello darkness, my old friend. Nigeria's power grid just went kaput again. It's like a blackout Groundhog Day, except instead of a cute rodent, it's a creaky power grid plunging millions into darkness. Just this week, on date of most recent grid collapse, the entire country was hit with a total blackout. This time the culprit was apparently, insert official reason for the latest collapse, make it funny if possible. It's like the national grid is running on hopes, dreams, and a wing and a prayer. Now you might be thinking, surely this was just a one-time thing, right? Oh, you sweet summer child. These grid collapses have become as frequent as my visits to a buffet line, way too often for comfort. The worst part, these blackouts never seem to discriminate. They hit everyone, from the average Joe trying to watch the football match to businesses large and small. Imagine, you're a shopkeeper, about to close up for the day, when bam, darkness. Or you're a surgeon in the middle of a delicate procedure. It's enough to make you want to pull your hair out. The reactions from Nigerians to these constant blackouts, let's just say they're about as illuminated as their living rooms right now. Social media explodes with each outage, a chorus of frustrated voices venting their anger and despair. One Twitter user lamented, "I swear the only consistent thing in my life right now is the inconsistency of the power supply." Another quipped, "I'm starting to think the national grid is powered by a bunch of hamsters running on a wheel." Businesses are losing money, hospitals are struggling to function, and everyday life is constantly disrupted. The Nigerian power sector is in a dire state, says name of an energy expert, a leading energy analyst. The Nigerian government has set an ambitious goal to generate 6,000 megawatts of electricity by year the target was set. But as of month-year, Nigeria's peak power generation hovers around a measly, current peak power generation in megawatts. To put that in perspective, that's about enough to power a medium-sized refrigerator and a couple of light bulbs. The government plans to invest in new power plants, diversify the energy mix with renewables, and improve transmission infrastructure. Sounds great, right? But here's the thing about oases. They're often mirages. Achieving this goal will require a monumental effort, tackling the root causes of the power crisis head-on. The reality is, that 6,000 megawatt target is looking about as attainable as a unicorn riding a roller coaster on the moon. What exactly is causing these epic power failures? It's a tangled web of neglect, mismanagement, and a whole lot of what were they thinking. First up, aging infrastructure, power lines older than your grandparents, transformers running on fumes, and substations held together by duct tape and prayers. Then there's the issue of gas supply. Despite sitting on a gold mine of natural gas, Nigeria struggles to get enough of it to its power plants. And let's not forget the human element, corruption, lack of technical expertise, and poor maintenance practices. The consequences of these constant blackouts are predictable. Businesses are suffering, hospitals are struggling, and everyday Nigerians are left in the dark. Businesses are forced to invest in expensive backup generators or shut down altogether. Hospitals are struggling to provide basic care, putting lives at risk. And everyday Nigerians are left in the dark, their lives constantly disrupted by this ongoing crisis. It's a classic case of too many cooks spoiling the broth, except in this case, the broth is electricity. Let's talk about the substandard copper wire snaking its way through Nigeria's power grid. Rumors have been swirling that some of the materials and equipment used in the grid are about as reliable as a chocolate teapot. We're talking dodgy transformers, flimsy pylons, and cables that wouldn't look out of place in a low-budget horror film. Whispers of corruption and shoddy workmanship have plagued the power sector for years. Even when new infrastructure is built, there's no guarantee it'll be up to scratch. The lack of quality control and the potential use of substandard materials are not just a financial drain, they're a ticking time bomb. So, what's the solution to this chronic case of the blackouts? It's going to take a multi-pronged approach, a whole lot of political will, and a hefty dose of common sense. One idea is the concept of regional power grids. Smaller, localized grids might be easier to manage and less susceptible to widespread collapses. Another crucial step is diversifying the energy mix. Nigeria relies heavily on gas-fired power plants, which are about as reliable as a politician's promise. Investing in renewables like solar, wind, and hydro could provide a more sustainable and consistent source of power. But perhaps the most important factor is good old-fashioned accountability. Holding those responsible for the mismanagement and corruption in the power sector accountable is crucial for bringing about real change. It's time to shine a light on the shady dealings and ensure that the money allocated to fixing the power grid actually goes towards fixing the power grid. Fixing Nigeria's power crisis won't be easy. It's going to take time, effort, and a whole lot of money. But the alternative, living in a perpetual state of darkness, is simply unacceptable. The people of Nigeria deserve better.